Well, hello and welcome. Welcome to my world, folks. Welcome to Talk Leadership with Cedrick. You know, everybody needs a little TLC, and I am Cedrick LaFleur, your host, and I'm excited to be here with you today. It is August 30th. 2 more days, and this month is over. We'll be into September. So, Talk Leadership with Cedrick is where we focus on leadership and personal growth with business leaders, educators, and local thought leaders. Our goal is to introduce our audience to leaders who are making an impact with innovative ideas. Now, our guiding leadership principle is the law of consistency, which says motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you going and growing, folks. And I tell you what, I absolutely love talking about this particular leadership principle, but that's not what we're going to be focusing on tonight. But consistently show the law or exhibit the law of consistency, you need to develop the good habits that lead to success. Just showing up is 80% of success. See, some people don't even show up. So if you show up, you can pretty much beat everybody very easily. All you got to do is show up. Bruce Springsteen once said, a time comes when you need to stop waiting for the man you want to become and start being the man you want to be. All right. Very, very easy. So tonight, I want to talk to you about mental health. And mental health is one of the most neglected areas of health globally. Let me say that again. Mental health is one of the most neglected areas of health globally. Now, this is true even before COVID, right? But the pandemic has further worsened the status of mental health. And we're going to be talking about that tonight. Now, there are several reasons why mental health has been ignored. The first one is the associated stigma. Right? People don't want to be stigmatized with having a mental health issue or disorder. All right. The second is a perception of mental health disorders as a luxury good as opposed to an actual illness. All right. Now, the actual top reasons include a fragmented and outdated service model in our healthcare system. All right. Some of these include the provision for mental health services, mainly in psychiatric hospitals, severe lack of preventative mental health services, and lagging policy changes, and also a shortage of human resources. Now, mental health, you're going to see in some of the data that I'm going to share with you tonight, mental health is not a small issue, folks. It's a 1 billion people issue. Right now, why do I say that? How can I say that? Right. The numbers are staggering around mental health. Today, nearly 1 billion people live with a mental health disorder. Right. And in low income countries, more than 75% of people with the disorder don't even receive treatment. But nearly 1 billion people live with mental health disorders. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to sit back. I want you to relax. I want you to think about some things with me around mental health disorders, right? Think about yourself. Think about maybe someone in your family. Think about maybe a colleague, a friend, an associate, a neighbor, a family member that has a mental health disorder. How many people do you know with the mental health disorder? It could be you with the mental health disorder. So tonight we want to discuss this and we want to talk about it. We really just want to have a conversation around it, right? And bring light to this issue that our healthcare organizations need to address. All right. There's nothing wrong. People shouldn't be thrown off into a corner. People should not be ostracized because they have a mental health disorder. It's no different than someone getting mono. It's no different than someone getting strep throat. It's no different than someone getting COVID. It's no different than any of the other medical diseases that people get, or medical illnesses, that people get. We just need to embrace it, and then we need to provide the support that people that are suffering from mental health issues, disorders, we need to then address those things and help them get through it. Just as you help someone get through a broken leg and you take them to rehab and all this type of stuff. The exact same thing. Someone break their arm, right? It's the exact same thing. You break your collarbone. It's the exact same thing. It's no different, right? Now, for every year, close to 3 million people. Now, I want you to make sure you understand me now. Every year, close to 3 million people die due to substance abuse. Okay? Just watch that stat, okay? But every 40 seconds, a person dies by suicide. Check that out. Now, every year, 3 million people die due to substance abuse. But every 40 seconds, a person dies by suicide. About 50% of mental health disorders start at around about the age of 14 years old. Think about that. 14 years old. They don't know how to deal with those things. So it's up to us and our medical system to deal with those things and help them overcome those challenges. You may know someone. If you do, if it's you, let us know tonight. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it. Don't be afraid. We're amongst friends right here. I want you to look. I want to bring it up because it's important. I'll tell you later a bit more why I want to bring it up, but I want to bring it up because it's important. It's something that we need to deal with. It's not something we need to continue to push it off to the side. It's estimated that over 160 million people need humanitarian assistance because of conflicts, natural disasters, and emergencies, right? But the rate of mental disorders can double during a crisis, right? Just like that rate was increased, or maybe it was just brought out more during this global pandemic that we're living through. During any crisis, the rate of mental illness can double because it's that crisis that can trigger something bad for that person. 1 in 5 people are affected by conflict and is estimated to have a mental health condition. That's staggering numbers, folks. Staggering numbers. And let me tell you what. Mental health disorders definitely affects every person that's listening to the sound of my voice today. Mental health disorders affects nearly every person that is in the sound of my voice today. So now, here's what I want you to think through and think about. How are we going to address these things? What things are we going to be able to do to help with this, right? Now, what I need you to understand is, folks, this can be solved. This can be addressed. Our government and our healthcare agencies need to learn to address these things, right? Now, here's what I want you to think through and think about, right? How would you recommend addressing these? How would you recommend addressing mental health disorders in your family, with your colleagues? So let's think about this. And I was going to have a guest on tonight, but we actually had a conflict in schedule and we needed to pre-record this session. So we'll do that again later, but the show still has to go on tonight, folks. So I'm going to talk about this with you, and I want to share some numbers with you, and I want to have a conversation and some dialogue with you. So according to the WHO, the World Health Organization, every $1 invested in mental health yields a $4 return on investment. Every $1, make sure you understand this. Every $1 invested in mental health yields a $4 return on investment. Fourfold, folks. A major investment, a minor investment could have a major impact That's what I want to talk about tonight. You know, according to some of the data, in 2019, some of the data says that 20% of U.S. adults experienced some mental illness in 2019 alone. 51 million people. That represents that number that I talked about earlier, 1 in 5 adults. That is just amazing, staggering numbers. And we need to be able to address these things, right? Now, our government needs to allocate resources from development assistance and domestic health budgets to implement community-based mental health programs, right? To strengthen the overall treatment of mental disorders. If you're listening to me and you agree with this, that the government needs to allocate resources to this, then just either type in I agree or hit the like button. I just want to see if you agree, because the data is pretty clear on what things need to be done, and we're going to have a deeper discussion on here when I can get my one of my guests on. We're going to record, and then we're going to air that interview with him, and it's just staggering, right? So now, we talk about the government getting involved. I'm going to give you an example of this working. In Peru, the government used a results-based financial model as a new way of supporting mental health services through community-based mental health centers. You know, in your subdivision right now, there are clinics, right? Well, you know what? They can put community-based clinics right in your subdivision as well, in your local area. Right? In Peru, they did this. And here's what happened. By turning this approach into law, Peru ensured resources couldn't be diverted toward other activities. So they were highly intentional and really focused on mental health disorders, and they made it a law. Now, here's what happened. This helped increase investments in mental health by 400%. It went from $25 million to $104 million to address mental health disorders. Now, we see it on TV all the time. We hear it on the news all the time. This person did this person did this, and they had a mental health disorder. You see, in Peru, they were focused on it. They were intentional about it. We need to be focused and highly intentional in order to make this, to help address mental health issues. See, the number of these community based mental health clinics increased from 22 to 154 centers by the end of 2019. It was an additional 60 was going to be planned because of the success in the program. So Peru did it. Guess what? Right here in the United States, we can do it too if we want to. If we want to be focused on mental health disorders, or if we want to just continue to sweep things under the rug and not pay attention to things and just let things fester. So now I'm just whetting your appetite for a bigger discussion that we're going to have around mental health disorders. So now I want you to do this. I want you to share this video with someone that you know that may be suffering from a mental health disorder. There may be a family member that they know that's suffering from a mental health disorder. There may be a coworker. There may be someone. And I want you to share this video with them, and then I want you to let them know that they need to come back, because we're going to be having a deeper discussion around mental health disorders. I want to just whet your appetite tonight around this. We're going to be having a deeper discussion around this with some people who have suffered from mental health disorders, and I'm also try to have a health expert in here, because I'm definitely not the health expert around mental health disorders. But it's so important. I thought that Talk Leadership with Cedrick would be a great place to start having a conversation, to start having a dialogue, to start putting pressure on the government to get involved, to start putting pressure on our healthcare systems to make changes, impact changes, because if they want to, they can. If they want to, they can. So I need you to share this this video, when you watch it, I need you to make sure that you share this. Whether you're watching it on LinkedIn, you're watching it on Facebook, you're watching it on YouTube, wherever you're watching it, I just need you to share it. Tag someone. And we're going to come back and we're going to have a deeper discussion because, folks, the numbers again are staggering. Nearly 1 billion people live with the mental health disorders worldwide, and we can address this issue. I'll give you one example of countries that have addressed this issue. I'm going to give you more later, and I'm going to tell you why I'm also addressing it. And we'll have other experts on to talk about it. So just thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to it. I want you to share it. I need you to share it and stay tuned for that deeper discussion. Have people come back here for that deeper discussion. Thank you. You know, everybody needs a little TLC in their life, folks. And let me tell you what, again, our guiding leadership principle is the law of consistency, which says motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you going and growing. And let me tell you what, whenever you're going and growing, folks, woo, you are doing some good stuff. So I want to tell you, thank you for tuning in tonight. Make sure that you come tune in. Make sure that you share this video for someone that needs to hear more about mental health issues and how we can fix them, how we can solve them. You may need it. I may need it. We all may need it, folks. Just share it. And I want to tell you again, thank you for tuning in tonight. Stay tuned for the broader conversation around this. Everybody needs a little TLC in their life. Thank you and good night.